Hello, everyone. This is cartoonist Bosch Fawston. This is part 19 of my Alex Toth series. The whole point of this series is to make the case why Alex Toth is the greatest comic book artist of all time. As I often put, everyone has their favorites. I do too. But he's just the greatest. He's the guy who took it most seriously, took the art form most seriously, try to push it, keep pushing it, to the point of being great on all levels, from storytelling to illustration to anatomy to graphic design to everything. He was an incredible artist. And there are great artists, of course, in comic book history: Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Joe Kubert, John Buscema, John Romita. But he basically took where Roy Crane, Bill Kniff, and Noel Sickles from the comic strip work, and brought that sensitivity, brought that incredible illustrative quality to comic books. That's what he did. And, from his influence came John Romita Sr., who's also influenced by Bill Kniff. But I do recall John Romita Sr. saying in one interview that he had hired Toth to be part of his studio just to have Alex Toth in his studio, just to have him there, regardless of what he did. That shows the man great respect. So as I mentioned in my last video, this is the part of this series where I'm going to basically look over his art. I won't discuss as much. The first 17 parts were going through interviews and retrospectives and books and people talking about him, artists and so on. Well, what they had to say about him, what he had to say for himself. Get into the man's mind and find out why he did his work the way he did. This will be, from here on out, it'll be basically showing. The showing part, the first part was the tell. It's a show and tell. This is more of the show. Jim Warren, who was the, I believe, publisher, editor of the eerie and creepy magazines in the 70s, horror magazines, which Toth drew a number of stories for, which were, fantastic. I guess he acknowledges for Patty. The first part of this book is, this is the second part, the second volume edited by Manuel Aud. I believe there was one more on cartoons about cars. So the first part is Heroes. Now this is his own character, because he created a number of characters. I believe The Fly, if I'm not mistaken, Jesse Bravo, another one, and then The Vanguard. And this is just great stuff. I mean, look at the character work, the shadows, and from what I gather, he inked with felt tip markers, which is so funny. It just tells you that tools don't matter. I remember I resented Terry Austin when he was asked in an interview what tools he uses. He goes, "It doesn't matter." And I was like, if it didn't matter, you would tell us. You would tell us if it didn't matter, right? If it's no big deal, then tell us. He didn't tell us, and I was a little pissed off because he was the greatest. Every time he inked someone, he made him look better. He was that good. But here's Toth. I believe he used brushes to fill in blacks, but much of his work was inked by felt tip markers, which are just things that people used to jot notes on. And look at the end result. If that's the case, it's like, yeah, Terry Austin was right. I still resented him for it, but he was right. Because look at the quality of this. From thin to thick. And then use like this gray color there as well. It's just beautiful. Such charm. Just flat out charm. Look at this. And the action is very brutal. Very physical. Men in suits. Gangsters. I mean, look at that. Takes that guy, throws him right over the roof. I mean, look at this. Right over the building. It's amazing stuff. And, he was known for simplicity, but you look at this, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of beautiful work going on here. So it's not simple for simple sake. It's just that there's no extra needed lines. That's really what it's about. He didn't want to busy up his work, but look at it. There's still a lot of line work, a lot of beautiful texture here. I guess they told the whole story here, which is fantastic, because usually it doesn't happen in these books. That's fantastic. I forgot about that. That is so good, because usually in these books they show a few choice images here and there, but here they show the entire story. Look at this character work. Look at that guy. Prominent nose, you could tell from the front, from the side, from the top. Man, look at that. Look at the water going on. Look at this right here. A little scene here where he covers up a lot of people here, which is still, and he shows off a lot of people there as well. I loved the placement of his blacks. Look at that. The silhouettes there as well. Here, the background character is just look at that also. The tilt of the head even. I mean, look at that. That beautiful texture there. It's a roughness. Even there, a thick line right there. Thicker lines here for the wrinkles. Man, look at that. Look at that natural quality of that movement. Even the pant leg. And look at that. Very dramatic. Very dramatic. Coming in through that crack. That guy as well. A few simple lines to tell you he's fat. That's a panel unto itself. That door. Look at that extreme shot, which is awesome. It's like How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, where John Buscema was telling you, or Stan Lee was writing, to say, what you want to do is the beginning of the action and the ending. Don't go in the middle. The middle is always the weak point. So look at that. It's very strong. And I do like panels sometimes with just with just characters. It's awesome. Look at her hands. Very fluid. Look at all these characters. He loved going back in time when he was growing up in the 30s and 40s. Look at that guy running down the stairs. Look at that. A simple little silhouette there of a detailed thing. Water gushing out. Knock that guy out right there. You need more sleep. Back in there. Boom. It's great. And that's the ending. From one old torpedo to another. Ciao. To Jordy Burnett, who did the torpedo after Toth did it. And this is Jordy Burnett talking about Toth and his admiration for him. Alex Toth has never deviated from the ideals of quality and elegance. There's something very sophisticated about Toth. You know, I think it's an oversimplification to call Toth simply simple. I know that sounds ridiculous, oversimplification, simply simple, but he was far more than that. The thought it takes to do this. It's not just him just dashing lines out. It's like, look at the movement. Look at the wind blowing. You know, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And here he is, his respect for heroes. A toast to true blue, ethical, dashing, fun-loving, fair-playing, handsome, stylish, sentimental, romantic heroes of the news, histories, fables, novels, plays, movies, and radio serials, comic strips, and comic books of my youth. May they once again, in spirit and substance, reclaim their popular stature and celebration. We do sorely need them. This is 1986, and we sure as hell do. A very different type of Batman they drew. But he always drew him like in the old classic way. He liked that good-natured Batman. He resented Frank Miller's Dark Knight, which, I think he was wrong about that. I think it was, great. I think it was absolutely great. that first Dark Knight Returns. I'm not sure if he allowed himself to give the credit it deserved. I would have loved to have maybe tried to get him to read it. It's in my correspondence. I didn't even think about it, but just ask him, if you could reread it and just say the story-wise, regardless, maybe you don't agree with the way he went about the story, but the storytelling is fantastic. Damn it, they don't show the final cover here. It's a botched version because that's open. It's all open and white. Man, look at that. That is awesome. Black Hawk. Zorro. He loved Zorro. What a great visual character also. Black Canary. Catwoman. So cute with that turned up nose. Iron Wolf. Look at that. That hand. That's awesome. The wrinkles there, the one pinky away from the others, up against a side wall, like a leaning wall. Super Friends. Again, I'm just looking through this as you're looking through them. Akira pinup. I think it was published. I think they added like a yellow color to this. It's awesome. So good. These were his ways to acknowledge the old masters. This was him trying to do a Milton Caniff version. It's really, really good. All these right here, they were all him trying to acknowledge the greatness of Milton Caniff. These were him trying to do Frank Robbins, Johnny Hazard, in his style. Al Williamson's Secret Agent, look at that. I could pass for Al Williamson completely. I could pass for Buzz Sawyer completely. Look at that also. Now, who would think that just dots would suggest like an ocean, but it does. It does. The Shadow. I saw another version of this. I think it was more open, where the shading wasn't there. It was a little more white and black and white, pure black and white. Merchants of Death, 1988. Look at that. It's awesome. Look at the line work here to suggest that it's thin. Johnny Quest cover. Space Angel. I think this is one of the first storyboard TV or movie designs that he did. I think in the early 60s, before he hooked up with Hanna-Barbera. This is one of his drawings, one of his most popular designs. Space Ghost. This was his main character, Jesse Bravo. His graphic novel, Bravo for Adventure. I think I will end this series on Bravo for Adventure because that's his magnum opus. That's his final great work that he wrote pens. I mean, check out his Conan the Barbarian. Look at that. There are a number of pieces that he did for Conan. They don't publish them here. I think they publish only 2 of these. Yeah, he did at least like half a dozen, if not more. Check them out. They're online. They're incredible. There's one where like Conan has a ton of swords up against his throat and he's just walking casually with confidence. It's fantastic. But look at this. It's so good. Scorpion may have been another of Toth's characters. I might be wrong, but I think it was. The Fox was also one of his characters. It says here, copyright Archie Comics. Now, did he do that for Archie Comics? Or I might be wrong, but I know that he was being bugged by fans to say, hey, where's the next Fox adventure? Where's the next Jesse Bravo adventure? I'm assuming it's his, but I can't say for sure. Maybe he just did it under work for hire, created it. I don't know. The Fox. This is another full short story, published completely. I love that. This is very different here. Thicker lines, not as fine. I don't know what he used here for the marker. It looks like he used markers here more than felt tip markers. Alberto Beccatini is talking about Toth here. A lot of these are his tributes. Suddenly, in one final lightning stroke, two mighty one-of-a-kind pioneering originals in cartoon art history gone. I guess when they died, he was the creator. Was it C.C. Beck? I think that's his Captain Marvel's creator, C.C. Beck. Plastic Man. What a potentially great character, Plastic Man. I'd love to see a movie based on it. It's so fun. The original Sandman. Here's Alex Toth, another homage to Milt Kniff. Out of character, Dragon Lady feels compelled to visit and tend the needs of her disconsolate Occidental friend. That's so good. Now, I may have mentioned this before, I don't know, but this is Alex Toth, a tribute to two artists who died at that time. And this is just, it's a stunning piece of work. I mean, look at this. It's called Taps. There's a dancing figure here. Just having a ball, all by himself. People are looking like, what the hell? And he's just dancing up a storm. Look at the fluidity of those lines. Look at that. And they're like, hey, what is it with this guy? Jerk. Not so maybe, grumble. Loony from a funny farm. Rumble, grumble, 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 grumble. Grumble, grumble, grumble. And they're getting pissed. That's enough. No more dancing. Go away. You nut. Out, out. Look at that. All the weight is on to his right side. That's all you need to see. Just a swirly line to say, what the? He's a happy-go-lucky dancing guy. Look at the line work again. It's beautiful. And then he walks away, disappears into the night. Dedicated to Wally Wood and Russ Manning. Alex Toth, 1981. Beautiful. Oh, look at this. I mean, I imagine he did this in the 50s. I think it screams of 50s, but look at this. Look at that pen lines. Must be some brush lines here. Markers, felt tip markers, pencils. Look at that. Even that towel. Look at her. Look at the thick lines around her body. The beautiful body. It's just gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like a simple little story here also. Alexander Toth. I think that must be 50s. That's how he used to sign it. But he simplified even his name from Alexander to Alex. These are his doodles of women. His women were definitely attractive and pretty, but you know, again, when it comes to women in comic books, it's John Romita Sr. He outdrew them all when it comes to beautiful women and handsome men. You know, no women were more beautiful than when John Romita Sr. Now, I would have loved to have seen a comic book penciled by Alex Toth and inked by John Romita Sr. Oh, man, that would have been something else. Especially if there were ladies around, because that could have been incredible. Incredible. I don't think it's ever happened. Look at this. Look at that. Ton of love. Fire. The guy's face there. Look at that. Look at this. Again, I may have mentioned that Milt Kniff was second to none when it comes to wrinkles in clothing and shadows in clothing. This is as good as anything that Milt Kniff did in terms of the thick black placing of shadows for clothing. Look at this. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. Whimsy. Look at that. Big Fatty Toth by Big Fatty Toth. These are his real cartooning works here. Look at this. Again, I don't know if I should go through every page, to be honest. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm just going to skip some, actually. I don't think I should go through every page. This is very whimsical here also. Robin Snyder, who I'm friends with on Facebook, who was Steve Ditko's publisher. I'm going to read what he says here. In pursuit of truth, clarity, and economy, Robin Snyder. From the beginning, Alex has been simplifying his work in his earliest days with his mentor, the wonderful Sheldon Mayer, who insisted, just tell the story. Through the Hollywood years, his return to national and into self-publishing, all the while refining and simplifying his style as he progressed, building an unparalleled body of work, learning from all forms of entertainment, successes and failures, always making it so simple even he couldn't cheat. Think about that also. I love that line. Making it so simple that you can't cheat. There's that packs. It's packed with truth. Alex set another standard and reached a new peak with his clean and simple and most personal Bravo for Adventure. From that mountaintop, he struck out anew, bringing to bear his clarity of mind and composition to the world of letters, producing a correspondence unequaled in the comics world. Personal letters, criticism and comment, letters to the editor, introductions and forewords to many books and collections, and his positive reminiscences in essays and articles and letters on the history of this field for me in the pages of the comics. That's right. I guess he did write for Robin Snyder as well, which is awesome. So he knew him on a professional level, maybe a personal level as well. All in his unique, clean, economical, no-nonsense, straight-to-the-point manner, avoiding formula, clutter, and extraneous lines. A man who says much with little, continuing down his lonely path in search of joy, adventure, romance, excitement, truth, courage, the good, the ethical, the moral, the wonderful, the intriguing, and that which is worth attention. Alex Toth, storyteller. As Bob Hope used to sing, thanks for the memories. That's awesome. This is the opening of, I don't know if he did it after the fact, this is the opening to Bravo for Adventure. It broke down where Jesse Bravo was in the beginning, when he's a boy, to his adventure when it begins in the 1930s. And this was also, I don't know if this was published after the fact, but this 100% is, this part of it, it must have been published separately. Bravo for Adventure must have been published separately because I remember I'm in the comic shop and I'm looking at some stuff, and maybe in the basement bins, they call it. They're little scruffy comics, but they're a little cheaper, but they're good, I guess. I'm going through it and I picked this out. I remember seeing these images. I was like, what is this? What is this? Very strange. And that was my first glimpse of Alex Toth's work. This is my first glimpse. And from there, you know, I got a few comics here and there. And then that first art book. Look at this. It's awesome. It's a great, great shot. Huh. Look at this. Look at this. You know that's snow. That's a dream Jesse Bravo had. This got hit upside the head. Miscellaneous. Now this was Toth in creepy or eerie. This is his horror, his horror comics. Again, I don't want to go through everything. Apologize to the publisher. Just want to go through a few of these things, but look at this. Look at this. Look at this right here. Boom, boom, boom. Like a storyboard. This was, I believe, his last sequential art. I believe this was in the 90s. I believe this was it. Unfortunately. He was probably in his 60s at this point. And look at this. Look at these characters. Look at it. I believe this was his last. This guy was disappearing. I remember the story. I read it years ago. Look at this. It's the worms. Bookworm. I'm going to go through a little of this as well. Just wanted to show you a general idea. Look at this. This was one of his most famous stories, The Crushed Gardenia. Very, very famous. I think this is what maybe had him explode. Really got people's attention. Look at the anatomy. Look at the action. Look at that even, okay? Look at that panel. You're not going to find that panel in, typical comic books. You're not. You're just not. Look at that. The cropping of it. It's so rare to find that kind of panel. And it's so well done. Look at this. For a time, I remember he was not drawing nails on fingers, and in some he was not drawing any details in ears. He left it open. He was going through, again, the guy went through so many different stages, and they're all great. I mean, this is early stuff right here. I don't know what the purpose was to make the comic book pages look like this, like to be pulled, like they're tight. I don't know what it is, but it looks great. I mean, it's interesting to have that as a frame. Look at these gangsters. Look at that. Each with their unique build, with a unique face shape, face details. This is Joe Kubert praising Toth. I don't know if you mentioned it here, but he was a little upset with Toth. This is to me, that's great work, but he said he was drawing it in smaller, like almost print size. Almost print size. That's fine. At the time, originals were 12 by 18 inches. His were drawn closer printed page, beautiful type artwork. But then, in another interview, he was criticizing him for it. I resented it at the time, but Joe Kubert's all-time great, so it's like, yeah, let him have it. Whatever. These guys will criticize each other from time to time. And usually, I think it came from good places, I believe. Look at this. Look at this. And look at that. Just open. Keep it open. Exploding. Keep it open. Don't have to put any details here. You know that it's exploding the gun. Read down. Look at that. That's awesome. So I'll go through book by book. Howard Hawks, the Thing from Another World. He had drawn this. I mean, look at this. Interesting, huh? 1951. Look at that. Probably for like a Reader's Digest or something. Some of those articles, short stories that they had. Probably this is what they published. My assumption. Alex Toth, self-portrait, 1987. Thunderjet. Look at this. I guess 1939 to 1974. Look at this. Just that line work right there. Whew. Beautiful. And the gray. Zipatone, but I don't think it's Zipatone. It could be something else. Again, I know Zipatone when I see it because John Byrne used it for the bulk of his She-Hulk and Submariner run. Not Submariner, as Rachel Elias says, but Submariner. But this is just gorgeous stuff. And again, this is Toth experimenting once again, right? No gutters between the panels, just lines. No gutters between the panels. You know, it's interesting. It's different. I love that. And he also changed a lot on the way he made word balloons. Sometimes he just made one dot around them with a suggestive circle around it without putting it all in there. Look at this. I think his wife co-wrote this. Guyla. Yes. Story by Guyla and Alex Toth. I think his wife at that time. Story by Guyla and Alex Toth. Look at this. So he used the entire background with that material, whether it was Zipatone or something else. Again, I think it's something else. But this is reminiscent of Roy Crane, who used, I don't know if he used that Zipatone, but he used, I think, just pen and ink to make the background. But man, he put it to such great use here. Such great use. And he also used gray wash, which I used in my first graphic novel. And basically because Toth used it, because Ditko used it in Eerie and Creepy magazines, it was so great. But look at such great use of it. It just added to this right here. It just added to it. Without it, it wouldn't have worked as well. That's why when I finally get down to the detailed work for my latest book, I'm considering adding a gray wash and then coloring on top of that. Something to think about. Something to think about. I keep going back and forth on it, but I believe that will be the case. But man, the consistency of this entire piece, look at this. It's all over that entire texture. Man, it's beautiful. There he goes. Grumpy and smoking. Awesome. So again, this is a cartoonist Bosch Falston looking through my second Toth art book, part 19 of my Alex Toth series. I will continue it till probably, I'm assuming, 30? I don't know, because I have a number of books that I still have to go through. And then a few, I think maybe a few things that I cut out of other comics, because sometimes his work was printed in the back of some other comics. So I basically threw out all the rest and just kept those and stapled them together, because the rest just weren't as good. And I believe, if anything else, I might do this for David Mazzucchelli. I might do another artist series on David Mazzucchelli, because he's that good. He is as close quality-wise to Toth. You know, me. I mean, it's like, again, I love all these artists, right? But Dave Mazzucchelli, what he was able to do. There's not much work that he has out there, but my God, it's so good. So thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for any comments you may have. I do appreciate it. I'm going to continue the series, and you guys take care. Be well.